Subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified about the highlights of India's smartest podcast, The Ranveer Show. This is TRS Clips. With college in general in India, you've got to understand your first impression is your last impression. So in my first year of college, I had that impression of being sort of an alcoholic, a party boy who didn't study, who stopped studying rather. And the teachers knew that, the students knew that. So that reputation stuck around with me through the rest of college. Most of the senior staff in college knew about that. To add to that whole vibe, I was also a powerlifter and I became extremely buff. So I had a reputation of being a bad boy in college, though I was a great dude. But I had a reputation of being a bad boy. I ended up getting this internship right before my final year began. It was an internship with a fitness company where 300 people from my college had tried for it and they had selected only 3 of those people. I was one of those 3 and I was pumped because I wasn't motivated by the academics of college. I was motivated by everything else, especially something related to fitness. So here's college scenarios, right? If you want to lock an internship for yourself, but you've gained through college, you have to go to your placement officer. The placement officer in my college, DJ Sangvi, was very notorious for being strict, notorious for really being tough on his students. And that's exactly what he did with me. So I was this buff dude who cracked that internship. 3 out of 300 people were selected. The other 2 people were very good at their studies. I was still getting there. I was on my way up. I went inside that room and he looked at me in front of staff, students, and said, "Hey, aren't you that same kid who failed? What's your aggregate now, by the way?" "Oh, okay. I don't think you're built for this internship." So I gave him my aggregate, which wasn't out of the world. It was pretty mediocre. So he looks at me and says, "You know what? I'm canceling your internship. You're not going to get it. And you can go do what you want. First, go and study." That's what's sad about Indian colleges. There's too much bitterness from people's own pasts that they kind of project onto students. But that's all right now. Eventually, I ended up working with that same company. I went to them and said that my college placement officer didn't really let me take the internship. And they told me, yeah, whatever, don't worry, we'll give it to you anyway. So I got the internship. But on the day that this incident took place, I was sad, man. I'd finished 3 years of engineering college where I was just not in a good mind state. I didn't like teachers projecting their own insecurities and bitterness onto me. I didn't like the students kind of attacking me along with the teachers. I had a really, really tough time in engineering college. The good thing I'd done for myself is that I'd done a lot of internships myself, had made my own money, even in engineering college. It was a little bit, but it was enough to make a tattoo. That night, I slept with a lot of sadness, and I remember this very vividly. I got a dream of being in a field with a lot of pigeons. Just hordes and hordes of pigeons. And at one point in the dream, they kind of just separated out and kind of created a pathway for me to walk on. So I walked on that pathway. And at the end of the pathway, there was this white dove. And something in my head within that dream told me to pick up that dove. So I picked it up. And it turned into Shankar Bhagwan, Shiv Ji. I wasn't a religious kid. I was spiritual. I had some spiritual understanding, but this is way before I started meditating. This is way before I started reading about spiritual books. This is way before I started respecting religion again. So it was a very random dream for me. But I vividly remember him telling me that, things are going to be good. Just have hope. I woke up the next day. I just felt like my brain had a shower. I felt hope. I felt positivity. And this stayed with me for a while. That following Mahashivratri, I was thinking about Shankar Bhagwan a lot. I was thinking about Shiv Ji a lot for some reason. I had some money saved. And I went and got the tattoo that's on my back, which is a tattoo of Shiva. And his hair, instead of turning into the Ganga, as the legend says, it turns into white doves. For me, that tattoo contains a lot of peace. I had a lot of anger in my heart at that point towards that placement officer, towards the faculty, towards those students. 99% of the students in my college made fun of me for failing in the first year. Always made jibes, always kind of looked down upon me too. Sometimes suck up to the teachers. It was a harsh environment for a young adult. And I feel like at that phase of my life, I needed to let go of the anger a little bit. And that's what's embedded within that tattoo. It's a reminder to have hope and not get angry in life. After this, I graduate with the first class, just by the way. I studied so hard after failing that I brought my aggregate up from 48% to being eligible for first class, which is a little higher than 60%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but in engineering college, it's good enough. And I think my life has turned out fine. So you know what, aggregates don't even matter in the long term. But at that stage, that 60% mark meant a lot.